What's up, foam flinging friends and family? Today we're going to talk about how to make some quick improvements to your Max Stryker from Dart Zone. Well, there it is, the Dart Zone Max Stryker. Let's get inside and make some improvements, shall we? And there's our stock internals. I'll let everybody get a good look at that in case you have a hard time getting this back together. First thing we're going to be doing is removing this lock right down here. This prevents you from being able to deprime the blaster without dry firing it. To get in there, we're going to need to remove this screw right here. And now most all of this should just kind of lift out of your way. And you're going to remove that screw, that screw, that screw, that spring, and this gray piece of plastic. You can completely delete this lock, these 3 screws, and this spring from your blaster. This will now enable you to deprime your blaster without dry firing. If you've watched some other reviews, you've heard that the stock Max Stryker barrel comes with some kind of unrefined, unfinished edges, and mine did as well. So I just took a little bit of fine sandpaper and just kind of smoothed all that out, removed all the burrs. It's at this point that if you're going to replace your barrel with something else like brass, that you should do that now. I'm going to be keeping my stock barrel, and I've already 2-part epoxied my barrel into this receiver here, and that should prevent any air leaks that were happening there. We'll see. I did this on my Nexus Pro too. If you've worked on your Nexus Pro already, this is basically the same. A couple little differences, but essentially exactly the same as the Nexus Pro. Now I'm going to reinstall my barrel. You're going to want to put this screw back in. And that's all that I'm going to be doing to my Max Stryker. I think these 2 simple improvements really help out the performance of the blaster. You should get some more consistent FPS numbers, because if any leaks were happening here, we've taken care of them. If you do want to take that to brass, you should be able to take care of it even more. Besides doing a little more extra oiling and greasing up, I'm done. I'm going to close it back up. When you're closing up your blaster, I think it's easiest to kind of align the safety if you're leaving that in. That's another thing. You could just remove this safety if it bothers you. I don't want the hole in my shell, and I actually find it useful sometimes to have a safety for specific reasons. That's up to you, but you can just pull that out if you want. Should work fine. But when you're reassembling, put the safety back in, and it'll kind of line everything else up. Nice and easy for you. You have to click these tabs back here back together. And just re-screw everything. Whenever I'm screwing screws into plastic that have already been there and set into the plastic before, I like to screw counterclockwise until you feel a little click right there, you kind of see it happening. Right there, kind of. Right where the threads line back up with the original threads in there. When you feel that click, you should feel the screw go right back in the hole. If you're not doing that, you can kind of strip out some of these plastic screw ports, and that can be detrimental to your blaster. With this lock removed from in there, you can half prime your blaster. insert, say, an empty magazine, and instead of slamming this forward and then dry firing your blaster to deprime it, you can hold this, press the trigger, and now you can gently deprime your blaster. Let me show you that again. Prime, hold this, press, and now you can just kind of let your blaster deprime. This is good generally for the plunger tube. You'll be okay on this, but hey, the least amount of times we can dry fire, the better. Just like the Nexus Pro, you can cut a small section of 1/2-inch CPVC and stick it in the end of your spring retainer there and increase your FPS. Let me show you. So I cut about a 1/2-inch section off, and I'm just going to kind of get all the ugly off of it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Put that on there. Put that in there. After you've made a few varying lengths of these, I like to store them on a dart, and you can fit a few on there, and then you can just shove this in the back of your stock, and now you got them on you. You can swap them out in the middle of a battle. That's all there is to it. Hope this helped. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.